Okay.
Welcome to Disability Empowerment Now, Creed Season 5, a season of healing. I'm your host, Keith Murphy DiCincini. Today I'm with my very good friend, David H., who is a autistic songwriter. David, welcome to the show.
Hi, Keith. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, ever since we met at the Meadows Behavioral Health, uh, I have wanted to have you on for many reasons and many topics. Uh,
All right. Well, thanks. As soon as I found out this guy did a podcast, that Keith did a podcast, and he said it was about disability, I was like, well, that actually sounds very interesting, and I was very enthusiastic about coming on as well. So,
and I'm going to try to have your dad on as well as soon as he responds to my emails.
okay, yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm sure he would. I'm sure he's looking forward to it as well. Just
Yeah, I mean, I would call him, but I don't have his number. Not to put you on the spot at all. So, the Meadows Behavioral Health is a rehab facility, among other things. I prefer to call it a mental health retreat because that's basically what we do there. And the grounds were lovely, and it to me, it felt like a retreat. Of course, I've been involved in meditation retreats for over 20 years. So it, it just matters how you look at it from your own point of view. Uh, but so what brought you to the Meadows? How did you find the Meadows? And what was your first thought about me? That last part is a joke. I love putting people on the spot. No, I, I want to know how you thought the Meadows experience was for you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak.
all right. Well, to start with, I was gonna just say that so me and Keith met pretty much on my first day up there. He was the first person I think that I ran into besides a staff member, but so my impressions were very positive. But so I was referred to the Meadows by my job actually. Unfortunately, writing poetry and songs and stuff don't pay the bills, so I do have a day job, and
Damn,
so
damn, damn, damn.
so
Continue.
I told them basically that I was having a substance use problem and that I had been trying to quit on my own, but I wasn't having any success with it. And the wellness program, they recommended that I go to this place called the Meadows. And I was told that on Wednesday, and I was in the Meadows on Sunday, so it was a very
Wow,
quick, yeah,
damn.
very, very fast sort of change of life. So I
Yeah,
get up.
and sorry to interrupt, talking about a fast change of life. The Meadows expects you to put your life completely on hold for 45 days. Now, rehab does that's depending on what type you go to. But for me, that was a shock to my system. And I don't know if you felt the same way.
Well, so I guess I'll start with kind of so before the final decision was made that I would be going to the Meadows, the idea of me going to rehab had been floated once or twice by these wellness people, and I was very resistant to it because my only idea, my only idea of what rehab looks like was in the show The Haunting of Hill House. There's a character who goes to rehab, and it's the cheapest kind of your last resort, and it basically looks like prison. And so I was that was my only mental reference for what rehab looks like, and I was like, I don't want to go there. So the wellness people had a contact with the Meadows, and they had me the Friday before I checked in formally. They had me drive up. It's about an hour away from where I live in Phoenix, and they had me check out the campus. And so I got a look at the grounds before kind of the whole system shock, and I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. What I remember was, what I remember was I was thinking that okay, so this is going to be a substance use place. They're not going to let people smoke. They're not going to let people have caffeine. So that's what I expected coming in based on that kind of media prison sort of model. I get there and I see right outside the parking lot, I see the cigarette pit, and I'm like, okay, so they let people smoke. They better let people have caffeine. I didn't. I didn't think to ask that question. I just assumed. Yeah, as Keith will tell you, they don't do caffeine there, and so
No, no, they don't. They do sugar, and they don't mean to, but they do sugar, and they don't do caffeine.
no, they don't do caffeine, but you can smoke as many cigarettes as you'd like.
That's a conundrum if I've ever heard one, and I don't smoke.
So, yeah, so I guess I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because that would be the bad is like some of the rules don't make sense. They were just kind of all over the place. But yeah, so I went up on Friday, looked at the campus, I saw it was pretty, it didn't look like prison, and then 2 days later, I was being wheeled into the place. Drove up there at like 8 p.m. So I basically checked in and went to sleep, and then the next day is when I ran into Keith for the first time. So the program was fantastic. I stayed for the whole 45 days. I committed myself. I did everything. Like, it was half that there's an award for you if you take it seriously, and I was like, I gotta get that award. And half I'm like, well, I'm here, so why not just do everything? So the
Did
program
you
was
get the
great.
reward?
I did. I got the pin.
Oh, wonderful,
I
wonderful.
got the pin. Um, and so yeah, the program. I checked in originally just for addiction problems, and I basically discovered that, unsurprisingly, there was stuff below that, and so we were working on both. Like Keith said, he prefers calling it a mental health retreat because that's essentially what it was. So the main
Yeah,
issues that I was working on were essentially depression and depression that was caused, related to the topic of this video, from a podcast, from how I was raised and my relationship to my autism spectrum disorder. That was a large source of kind of the messaging that led me to get depressed. And so I got a lot of work done on that. Obviously, got 45 days free of the possibility to use what I'd been
yeah.
using. And so the good is it worked. I have been put back. I'm back at my job. I'm also continuing with the outpatient program that the Meadows runs. So
No,
I'm doing half a day of work and half a day of that, 4 days a week. And then the fifth day of the week, I'm doing a full day of work. So I'm back at my job.
no.
I'm continuing with this therapy mental health thing. And I have stayed clean from my addiction for however since March 15th. I do not have the days off the top of my head.
Nice.
So,
Well,
and the bad was just Like, it's the sort of thing that anyone can find. There's always petty grievances about, like,
Yeah.
this rule's dumb,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and there's always some people in any population. There's always people who are trying to stir the pot and create drama. It's
Yeah.
and I think this environment, which is very kind of high regulation, high control of the patients by the staff, as you'd expect from this sort of thing,
Yeah.
breeds a sort of middle school atmosphere, which really brings out the worst of
Yep.
those kinds of people. And so
Yep.
I'd say the bad and the ugly at the same time was just there. There were great people there, and then there were people who were trying to make this into the worst part of high school all over again.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree fully with that. As I said in another episode, I'm doing several on the Meadows because I can. Uh, that the one thing they take away from you almost immediately, and they do it without shame. It's all electronics. Your phone, your smart watch, your MP3 player, your everything. I went back to a digital watch and we had a pager. That was as close as we came for 45 fucking days to a regular phone. And all the while, we're being told lovingly, but aggressively, actually, trust the process.
Process.
They don't give you a choice. You have a choice, but they don't give you one. They actually expect you to trust the process like you're supposed to memorize the 12 steps.
Yeah, I they I'd say they give you a choice. Either you can take it seriously, or you can sit around for 45 days and get bored out of your mind. And so
Yeah.
you really only have one choice, and that's to do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I found the sense of community, uh, for lack of a better word, for rehab center, intoxicating. It really mattered a lot to me that I had friends, brothers, and sisters on the journey with me because you can't or you shouldn't go through this journey alone. It will break you.
Oh, for sure.
You will fall and fail faster than you know if you don't have companionship. And
Definitely.
I'm, believe it or not, there can be times where I'm more than a bit shy, but I really wanted to extend that welcoming hand to others because I knew that we were all as critical to our shared recovery and shared journey as any of the therapy was. If
Oh yeah.
we didn't have each other, we were basically blowing money away in the wind, and none of us would have gotten better. It's that simple. And I remember telling people that even if I hated the therapy, and to be true, I didn't hate the therapy, but hypothetically, let's say we did, or I did. I would have stayed for the sense of community hand over fucking fist
All
every
right.
single day of the fucking week.
All right. And here I was expecting, like, the phrasing you were using, it was clearly, it sounded like you're about to say, and if I hated the therapy, then okay, time to come clean. I did hate the. I was so expecting you to say that because that's
No,
what it sounded like you were building up to, and I was like, respect
no,
for saying that.
I loved my therapist, Carla. She was one of, if not the best therapists I have had. It, it, it was, I looked forward to group most days, most every day. I looked forward to group. Now, were there parts of this program that I hated? Absolutely. But the therapy, the main group therapy, was not a part of what I found its taste for. It was, again, lack of a better word, for a rehab facility
Intoxicating.
intoxicating, which I never thought I would say about my experience. But we share a very special bond apart from our disability. In the program, we went through the most intensive week of therapy ever called Survivors One. And what that basically
Oh yeah, Survivors
is
Week.
a workshop that really invests itself in your mental and emotional focus on all of your childhood trauma from age 0 to 17.
Just
Literally
piled it on there. Yeah,
piling it on. And
and
I
then having you
remember,
punch it away. that's
yeah,
that's basically how it went.
and I remember for the first time in my life getting praised for getting as angry as I did, which was very, very extremely angry. And I got praised by literally everyone in the entire group, which was a very diverse group, you have to admit. It was incredible how much diversity there was. Another person who went through it with us is named Mike B. And I'm hoping I can get him on episode as
That
well,
would be
uh,
awesome.
because, uh, and then I had family week the week after. And that was life changing because my parents and I famously failed every other family therapy we did. We were so pig headed and so hard nosed. But here at the meadow, where my dad turned 92 years young, we had a fucking breakthrough. And so those 2 weeks were, for me, worth the price of admission. And believe me, it cost a lot. But I
Yeah.
I had to break down to the point where I didn't see any way to continue forward without a radical shift. Then doing what I did, which is coming to the meadows. And we had these talent shows, and I'm sorry, I'm talking so much. I'm setting
It's your
the
show.
well, thank you. I'm setting this up because I've always been a poet, a lyric writer since my teenage years, since 15. Uh, that's the age. And I remember impressing a lot of people with my poetry, especially you. How did my poetry affect you? He said very leadingly.
Well, as Keith was saying, there were these. Yeah, it was a community organized sort of thing. It was just basically we put a sign up on the door and said, "Hey, sign up, and we're going to do a talent show on Saturday." And um, every time that those came up, first name on the list was always Keith M.D. Poetry. And so the first talent show that they had, I went and I attended, and I believe in that one I did end up playing a song, but it was just a cover song. It was just for fun. But
You
Keith was
sang
the
in German.
yeah. That's right. This would have been the one where I did the well, I did the German song, but I also did and my reasoning for this will be very convoluted, and I'm not going to get into it. But I did Weird Al Yankovic's "The Saga Awakens," which is the Phantom Menace song. So I did that, but Keith was reading his poetry, and he read. I think that time he did like 3 or 4 different poems. He just kind of read a selection of his works, and I was like, you know, I've run into this guy, said hello to him, and um, this is admittedly not a nice thing to say, but like, I didn't speak to him at length, and so I was under the impression from the way he talked that, maybe there was something else going on up there. But then
Yeah,
he says his poetry, and for one thing, I realized that that was me being a bit of a shithead, which I was when I was a teenager, which I can get into. But number two, like, wow,
yeah.
this is some profound stuff, and it inspired me. And about 3 days later, I was sitting in group therapy. I had a different group than Keith in my normal programming. I love my therapist and I love my group. We had very good rapport, but someone was sharing, and I had my notepad out just for it was really my journal stroke notepad stroke everything, because again, no electronics. You had to do this on paper.
Yeah.
So, and I was listening, but I was also just writing things down. I don't think I was thinking that hard about it, and I looked down and I realized that I'm I've written. It was actually just 4 lines, 2 rhymes. That was the beginning of it, and I believe that I was kind of inspired to give poetic writing a try after hearing Keith do it, and kill it in front of an audience. I think about how many people do you think there were? About 20 in the audience, 30.
Yeah, they kept getting bigger and bigger the more we did them, and I was really really impressed how many creative souls that was there. I thought erroneously that I would be carrying the talent show on my back, on my poetry, and I would delightfully and joyfully mistaken on that. I think one actually I know one that really touched everyone who heard it was a song called Good Morning, Beautiful Human that I wrote about my dog and what she would say if she could speak human
Yeah.
as she was saying goodbye to me. I wrote it a few years before she actually died, but it still holds up remarkably. And I told people I will never, ever get that voice back.
Yeah. Uh,
Capturing that voice, and I'm completely okay with that.
yeah, and I believe that one was among the roster of that first set of poems that I heard from Keith. So I believe that was among the works that did inspire me. So anyway, I was here with this notebook with just basically a couple lines of text that happened to rhyme, and I was like, you know, I never got into the whole journaling thing. When they suggested, I kind of rolled my eyes, but I decided that okay, I can make this my form of journaling, and so I wrote some more rhyming pairs, wrote out a verse, chorus, bridge, wrote out all this stuff, and then I just thankfully they had guitars up there, and so I just started
Yeah.
plunking away random chords until I found something that I liked, and it was very much kind of in my head. I'm imagining a kind of Nirvana meets Green Day meets My Chemical Romance, very 2000s kind of rock and roll song. That's the kind of stuff I listen
Yeah.
to. I have a Three Cheers T-shirt on right now because that's my music. But up there, there's no electronics, and crucially, there's no electric instruments either. So I had to. So I had this, very angry. This was midway through therapy, and what I've been saying was, it feels like at that point, all they've done is make you aware of all your problems, and they've actually made you less mentally well than you were before. And so I was very angry, very 15 years old, and I just wrote this text down that sounds like an angry 15-year-old wrote it, and I'm trying to play this song that, desperately needs, distortion pedals and awesome drums, and it's just me sitting on this stage with a acoustic guitar where one of the strings is so worn I felt like if I played it hard enough it would snap off. But I just forgot about all of that, and as I started, this was the second talent show that I took part in, and Keith read some more poetry, I believe. But I, I got up there and I was just telling all these people that, like, this is a song that I wrote myself, and it's very personal, which is, of course, why I'm going to sing it to all of you, because gotta have some fun with it.
Yeah.
and and I picked the guitar up, strummed the first chord, and I just felt the soul of rock and roll overtake me, and by the end of it, I wasn't even. I had my lyrics next to me because I'd just written this thing like 2 days before. By the end of it, I wasn't even reading the lyrics. I was just saying things and just going, nah. And it killed so much applause. and,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the crazy part was, like Keith said when he said he thought he was going to carry it with his poetry, there was me and him, and still there was someone else who won. That's how much talent was concentrated in this
yeah,
population of 80 so people.
yeah. John C, I believe his name is. He sung a cover of the Frank Sinatra song all the way, my way, something like that. He won.
Hang
Uh,
on.
there
Frank.
was
I
a
think it was something with life in it. Frank Sinatra, all my life. Is that a word? Uh, nope, I have no idea.
yeah. There was a comedian called Josie Man. And yeah, I did something special for that second talent show, which I'm not sure many people realized, but I took several different poems and read parts of them to make a new poem. And I've never really attempted that. And just like Good Morning Beautiful Human, I probably never will attempt that again because that was a one shot uh, talent show. Uh, and then I left like a few days after that, which was odd uh, to do. How did the third talent show go? Well,
Oh, that's
I,
right. You weren't here. You wouldn't have known about
no,
this.
no,
Oh,
it didn't.
it didn't happen.
Oh, wow.
No one else signed up. It was just me. So they
But
canceled
no,
it.
birds fucking killed. I should have stayed. Damn it, Meadows. I should have fucking stayed. They
You know what?
didn't let me stay.
funny, the funniest thing was, I was saying that I feel like Keith is the glue holding all the talent shows together, and Keith said no, someone else is doing it. I'm just the first person who signs up, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then Keith leaves, and suddenly no one signs up. So Keith was the glue holding these talent shows together.
Yeah.
um, but for what it's worth, the product that was supposed to go for that talent show, the second song I wrote, I played it for, but I think the same week you left or just after this, another musician from Hawaii, I think his name was Kona, I don't remember the rest of it, and it doesn't matter. He came, and no, he must have been here before because he was, I called him my first fan. He loved the first song, and I played him the second one, and we had some jam sessions. And when I got home, as soon as I got home, first thing I did, I pulled out a microphone, I pulled out my guitar, and I recorded a recording of this song. So it it didn't get shown to the folks in the talent show, but basically everyone who would have wanted to hear it at the Meadows heard it. My folks heard it. My friends have heard it. So it's it's all good and well that I didn't end up getting to play it on stage with those folks because
So we also share another passion. We are both Sonic the Hedgehog
Sonic the
fanatic.
goddamn hedgehog. Yes, and this is a funny story from Survivor's Week. I was talking about maybe it wasn't even Survivor's Week, but I feel like it was. I was talking about how, like, I was working on I'm always trying to avoid kind of, and this is because of the attitudes that I had as a kid. I was trying to avoid this kind of stereotypical internet meme idea of what autism looks like, and then I looked down and I realized, and I'm saying all this, but look at me, I'm fucking wearing a Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirt. And what was amazing was that no one else in the room had any idea what I was talking about. This is not a known quantity outside of autism circles, but that is such a stereotype amongst us, is that every autistic person loves Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm like, guilty as charged, bro. I love me some Sonic the goddamn Hedgehog.
Yeah, and so without getting too personal, how how do you feel pre-meddled that your parents related or understood your autism, and post-meddled, did that change uh, at any way? They are wonderful people, by the way, and I think I can completely say that because they're not my parents. And I have nothing against my parents, but I think a lot of people would say that about my parents as well.
Um, well, no comment on your folks, but I do know the story, but I'm not gonna get it. So
Yeah.
I'd say pre my stint at the Meadows, the best way that I could summarize it is that they were extremely proactive and they were very willing to learn everything that they could, and they read all the best materials and spoke to all the best specialists from 24 years ago, because I was diagnosed when I was 3, so I'm 27. So they've been so a lot of the foundations of how they thought about it were very much formed 24 years ago. And 24 years in psychology, psychiatry, mental health terms is
Oh, yeah.
basically, medieval Europe to 21st century.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it is
Exactly.
this is a very quickly evolving field, and the understandings of disability in society have shifted so much in 20 years. And so I would say that they had the best intentions. They really wanted me to succeed, and I'm very grateful for that. But there was always just this tinge of make the kid normal. That was kind of the undercurrent. And
What
that,
is normal?
right. Now, that's a question that I was able to realize had no answer when I was in my
Ex-
20s. But
Exactly.
when you're 10 or even 15, I mean, especially when you're going to, middle and high school, where it's a very, for as much as people love to talk about the teenage rebel, no, school is very, very, very conformist. And so the question of what is normal didn't matter. The question was, how the hell can I be normal? And I tried and tried and tried, and it never worked. And that's basically more or less why I got depressed. Now, post my stint at the Meadows, I would say that honestly, that question of normal and kind of the linguistics of how you discuss a neurodivergence, that was kind of the big theme of my stint in Family Week. The particular anecdote I'm thinking about is that my parents, they were this was an interesting one to me. When I was trying to explain, like, I don't see this as something negative. I see it as an attribute that is neutral. They said they agreed. But then at the same time, their analogy that they used was that, well, it's just like if someone has something wrong with their arm, they go to a doctor and they can fix it. Now, and then they also, at the same time, as if these two analogies are equivalent, they said, well, you have autism just like you might have green eyes. I'm like, those two analogies, those are not the same. Their word wrong is in one of those. And so it was very clear to me through that conversation that they actually did see eye to eye to me on the basic concept, but the linguistics was just antiquated. They were using this word wrong, not necessarily to say that I am wrong, but to say that, like I said, like someone with something wrong with their arm. And so I'd say that the biggest thing that has come away from it is, for one, me understanding that we did mostly see eye to eye, but they told me that they're going to be more careful with that. And so I'd say that basically I just was able to bring them a bit of perspective from my side of the issue that, to be frank, I had covered up and not told them, because I was working on how to be normal for so long, and part of being normal, I thought, was having no problems.
So, what do you wish and what do you hope that people would understand about mental health and autism, but
Right.
particularly the journey we all take as neurodivergent people?
Sure. So, I the main thing that I really just want to communicate is, number one, there's no such thing as normal. Number two, and this is another thing that was kind of going on in my childhood, is the only positives that I was given of, like, here's why it's okay that you have autism, is, say, insert famous scientist or whatever historical figure might have had Asperger's. Like, there was, like, Albert Einstein might have been, or uh, Einstein's the one that jumps out to me, but, or, Sir Anthony Hopkins, I believe, played Hannibal Lecter. He's on the spectrum. So those were the kind of.
So is, uh, he played Venom. Tom Hardy.
Right. And it's so I could Google up more examples, but it doesn't really matter. The point was that what I got as a message from that is basically that, okay, well, it's okay for you to have a disability as long as you can exceed in something, and so
Yeah.
cover for the fact that you have a disability. And my message is basically that, no, I mean, I have a decent job and I'm decently creative, but I'm not a savant. But that does not make me less worth. That makes me just as worth as that savant, or as even someone who is more profoundly disabled than myself.
Yeah.
And that segues into something that I was reading about. There are all these cases of a of someone with very high support needs autism, someone who cannot speak, is possibly not capable of comprehending language, though I do not know that. I know there are people who can't speak but can understand and can type.
Oh, yeah.
But these people, their parents or a special educator or someone like that has learned of this technique called, I believe, facilitated communication, which is complete pseudoscience and basically turns this disabled person into a human Ouija board. And so
Oh, yeah.
you've heard of this. You've heard of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've read about these cases, and what strikes me, besides the fact that they're stealing this disabled person's voice, is that there is this exact same idea that I was talking about, where they think it's okay only because with this pseudoscientific technique where basically someone with a college degree is using them as a human Ouija board. They might even know it, but suddenly their kid, who previously was incapable of speaking, is suddenly allegedly producing this amazing poetry and is taking college classes about, like, high level stuff. And there's this message that, like, your kid might have a disability, but they're secretly super smart. It's the same message, just wrapped up in some horrible pseudoscience. And if people didn't believe that someone with a disability is less than, I think there would be less of this pressure for these parents to
Yeah.
find out that their kid actually was that smart and that they wouldn't be falling for the pseudoscience. And
Yeah.
I keep reading about these horrible cases, and it's also misinforming people because they start to see that any disabled person with an interpreter might be a fraud. Have you heard about all these Helen Keller didn't actually know how to talk conspiracy theories? I think it is based on people learning about this actual pseudoscience and not understanding what's going on. And so I think that my biggest message is it doesn't matter what you can do. You are a person and you are worthy, or your kid is worthy, or whoever. That's my main message.
So, thank you. So, last question before I let you go. Uh, I like to think that both people with disabilities and those who have yet to discover or embrace their own disabilities listen to this podcasts and watch this videocast. I'm under no delusion that the two groups and groups within those groups take away the same things from every episode. So, as my guests, what do you hope that people with disabilities take away from this episode? And what do you hope that those who have yet to discover or embrace their own disabilities take away from this episode?
Um, I'm gonna start with maybe the people who have yet to discover, or
Yeah,
maybe they're having some issues. But I'd say my message is basically that no matter what, it's essentially the same message, just kind of worded different ways. But for those who are discovering something that they might not have known or on this journey, like it's okay, and you still have just as much value as a person, no matter what kind of label you might hold, whatever
can.
disability you have.
Yeah.
And for those who have a disability, you don't need to find what you're Albert Einstein or Rain Man in, because whatever you're doing is more than enough by virtue of your being human.
Well, thank you so much for being that profound, particularly that last point. I think people with disabilities need to hear that more and more. David, please do always keep in touch. If you come down to Tucson, let's share a meal and please say hi to your parents and remind your dad to email me or feel free to give him my number. I would love to talk to him as well. David, once again, thank you for coming on, and please know that you can always come on and share your thoughts and your art.
All right. Well, thank you, Keith, for having me. Please have a wonderful rest of your day, and I may just come on again and share some of my stuff.
You'll always have a lifelong friend in me, brother. I love you very much.
Love you too, survivors, brother.